Welcome to the Smarter Leadership Podcast, where we explore the power of leadership, from overcoming challenges to shaping cultures and building a lasting legacy. Through inspiring stories and insights from our guests, we'll share transformative lessons to help you thrive in today's interconnected world. I'm Tuchi Voe. Join us for conversations that will inspire thought and action. Yvette Aduonvo Atekpe is the CEO and founder of Dynamic Data Solutions, with extensive experience in information communication technology and cybersecurity infrastructure services. With over 2 decades of executive leadership, she has driven business growth and built world-class customer service teams for successful startups across Africa, including Africa Online, Asalon, Internet Solutions, and Dimension Data. Her contributions to the ICT and business communities have earned her numerous accolades, including ICT Woman and Industry Personality, CIMG Marketing Woman of the Year, Pan-African Award by CEO Global, Woman Rising Top 50 Women Corporate Leaders in Ghana, and the National Women in STEM Honors. She has served on several boards, including Internet Solutions Mozambique, Dimension Data West Africa, Quality Insurance Company, Petra Trust, and the Coastal Development Authority. She currently serves on the Governing Council of University of Ghana and the Board of Access Bank. Yvette, you are the founder and CEO of Dynamic Data Solutions, and I think I'd like us to dive straight in. Tell us a bit about Dynamic Data Solutions and what you do.
Great, thank you, Tuchi. Dynamic Data Solutions is an internet and converged managed service provider, which means we provide internet services to enterprise and corporates. Mm-hmm. We also provide cloud services, cybersecurity solutions. We are able to, have more of a consultative-led engagement with clients, depending on what their needs are. So I would say that we go the full gamut in terms of ICT service provision.
So what brought you here? So what about your background led you to work in the IT industry? Can you share a little bit about, your journey?
Tuchi, I would love to say I got here by mistake, because I really never thought of venturing into this space. Okay. But when I finished, university, I was looking for a job. And, being everywhere, looking in all the, banks, what have you, and then there was the opportunity with a startup called Celtel, which was, a JV, with Klugerson International and AT&T of the US. And so I telecommunications company. They were actually the second mobile service provider in Ghana. Okay. And so I went in and they said, well, the only role we have now is the role for a receptionist. And I was like, oh gosh, how do I finish university and come and sit at the reception? But my mom, was very, very supportive. And she was like, listen, you always have to start from somewhere. And this is a very new, industry. At that time, you can imagine telecommunications, especially mobile telephony, was in its very nascent stages. So she encouraged me and I got there. And the rest is history. Wow. Because I moved then, from being the receptionist to setting up the customer service department, for the organization. I was very much involved, with technicians, with engineers, making sure that all the services were up and running, and that's how come the interest came.
It's exciting to hear because, I didn't have a clue that that's how you came in. Yes. We hear your name today as one of the leading, not just leading women, actually, as one of the leaders in the tech industry. And one would think naturally that, you must have been some computer scientist and this was always your goal. And, so it's really kind of exciting to hear that you came through this channel and now this has been your life for the past 30-ish, 20-something years?
26 odd years, I would say. Yes,
Wonderful.
It is. I actually love, Tuja, I love to tell people that I'm a techpreneur.
Okay.
That's really what I am, because I found myself in the business of technology. And then I started studying, around technology, around ICT, and today I'm here.
And you've worked in corporates, you've worked your way literally through the ranks, and you just called yourself a techpreneur. And, last year, I think it was last year, 2024, I was privileged to be part of the launch of Dynamic Data Solutions after, you had led this management buyout. So really, you've been in corporates. You call yourself a techpreneur, and you literally now are a full entrepreneur as well. So can you talk to us about that journey? Because, we don't hear a lot of these types of stories, these MBOs. So can you tell us what you did, what you went through, what is an MBO, a management buyout, and, maybe you share some of the challenges, but also some of the things that we should look out for.
Absolutely. Tucci, I could spend the whole day
Please.
Here and maybe another week talking about this process. But in just a summary, I'd been running Dimension Data Ghana since its inception. In Ghana, Dimension Data acquired a company called Axelon that was primarily a VSAT services provider. And
what is that?
So this is satellites, very small aperture terminals, and we were providing services across West Africa. So I would say it's almost like a Starlink, because that's what you know now. And Dimension Data acquired Axelon, and I was part of Axelon at the time. I was managing Axelon, and we became Internet. We launched as IS, Internet Solutions, but a division of Dimension Data. We were operating as Dimension Data in IS, until sometime in 2022, when the group, NTT Group, which owns Dimension Data, that's entity of Japan, decided that they wanted to exit the West African market. So, and apart from West African market, there were other markets they were exiting from. And so West Africa meaning included Ghana and Nigeria, and they had started, looking for bids, for this acquisition. So at that time, I thought to myself, really, how long can I continue doing this, for? And at the point, they kept telling me that, well, whoever is looking to acquire, everyone, is saying that they wouldn't do it without me being
at the helm.
Being at the helm of. And I said, well, Lord, this must be the opportunity. This must be the time. So I put in a bid. It was very audacious of me, and looking for funding was the most difficult part. It was the most difficult part because I thought I had a plethora of
contacts, a big networks,
name it, who would be, willing to support me in terms of funding. And at the end of the day, it was just left to my husband and I, to see how we go around this. And we had no other option but to do a bit of equity and a bit of, and most debt, so to speak. And so we spoke with the Development Bank Ghana, and they were willing to assist. And APSA Ghana, was also very ready to assist because we've also been providing them with services for a while, and they knew the quality of our services, and of course they knew us as a management team, so we're very happy. They were very happy to do this. And I must say that they really rallied around us. We did have, I'll say initially, some interest, or quite a lot of interest, from some fund managers, which was great. But unfortunately, their funding had not come in yet, and we needed to get this done. Well, eventually, things came through. Our bid went in. We went through a lot of back and forth. Eventually, the bid was put on hold. They had shared an SPA, sale and purchase agreement with us. Okay. This was in 2022. I put it on hold and said we need to speak with. They're speaking with another, interested party, and this will take a while. So I was so deflated at the time, but God works in mysterious ways. So at this time, whilst waiting for them to finish their due diligence and all of that, we had all the issues, in the economy after COVID, around the forex, and the exchange rates and all of that. And at the time, my bid was in USD. That's what the business was looking for, for the acquisition in USD. Eventually, when this due diligence was over, the interested buyer, came out and said, well, they'll be interested rather in doing it with me.
Okay.
And I asked myself, really, that's not the...
That wasn't the line you were... Yeah, that wasn't the direction you were going in.
And the goal is to take this over, So we got the opportunity to put in a bid again. And this time the bid was in Ghana cedis.
Oh.
And so you see how God works. If it had gone through at the time, I don't know what I'll be doing by now. So that's how we got here. And I had a very supportive team, my management team, the rest of the staff, because there was the need to keep the organization running, to keep the livelihoods of all the 55
who were there,
members who
under
were
Dimension
there.
Data.
Exactly.
So you kind of went through this journey together.
We went through this journey together, and that's why our brand name is DDS 55. And this has to do with the 55 founding, employees, who were part, of this. I just felt I owed that to them.
That's really nice.
And coincidentally, I turned 55 as well. So 55, I think, is a great number.
Yes. It just shows how things come together.
Absolutely.
In their way and in their time.
Yes.
And so how long was this whole process?
Oof. So this whole process must have taken us, from inception, probably about 4 years.
Wow.
Of is it happening, is it not happening, is it happening, is it not happening? But from the time when it looked like it was happening for us, it took us about another year.
And so what was the period, let's say, that the rest of the team were aware and they came in? Because I'm sure at the very early stages it was you, having these discussions.
Yes. So it was a very confidential engagement, at the time. By the time the team came on board, it was about probably about 18 months, to time, because now there was a lot of due diligence, ongoing. There was, various meetings, so of course, the employees started to, how things filter through the grapevine, and I had to, be open,
to share.
Yes, to share. This is what the journey we are on, and it was great because they had known initially about the initial buyout, by another company, and they were quite concerned about their future. So from what they all said, realizing that I was the one now going to take over made them feel really comfortable, and were very determined, to get everything done. So that's where we are.
I have to say congratulations to you and to the team. And I say first to you because, I know that you were the first female to lead a management buyout of a multinational here in Ghana, at least in this industry. And again, it's why the entire business community has really rallied behind this. And it's inspired so many people from across different industries and different strata of society. And then, congratulations to the team being there with you, but it's also a testament to your leadership, because for a team to move together to transition in this way it really shows what kind of culture you've been able to build. And so I'd like to, to talk a little bit about, the culture. What is the culture at DDS? How have you had such loyal, members of your team, both management and in other levels of the organization first? And then I have a follow-up to that as well.
All right. Thank you very much, Tuchi. And we're all really proud of ourselves, really. It's been a tough journey, and like you said, it's the first of its kind. But I think it also stems from the culture, as you said. And we've cultivated a culture, of openness, of excellence, of empathy. So anyone who's had the opportunity to engage with us, work with us, when they leave the organization elsewhere, they almost come back. I think we've had quite a number of employees who left, seeking greener pastures, and came right back and said, it just wasn't working where we went, and I think really that's it. I have a very open door policy. We work hard and we play hard, and it's all about doing things right, the first time, and that is what has been imbibed in everyone, and just knowing that we're there for each other. That's how I have led the organization.
Okay. You talked about transparency, you talked about empathy, and I want to pick up on that because I don't know much about the work you do, at least not in detail. I know what you do, the services you provide, and I've been a beneficiary of that. But I mean, I know you more outside of work, and one thing I can say is, your family values are just, it's almost like a cult, your family. When there's an event, your whole clan from here, not just your husband, your children, your mom, your brothers, your sisters, their children, you kind of move together, and it's just a beautiful thing. And, I'd like to maybe for us to tap into the role that family plays, in your work and how they support you. You mentioned that your husband was the one, with you when you were trying to raise funding for the company. So maybe let's talk a bit about that first, how you have built this partnership of marriage and how it's, translating into what DDS is doing today. And then I will continue.
Thank you, Tuchi. And I'm just imagining this clan like a head.
Yes, that's it.
But really that's what we are. And I think that's how I've grown up. And interestingly enough as well, my husband also, comes from that kind of family, because I must say my in-laws, were fantastic, in their support, of this venture. When I was talking about equity, they're all part of this. My mom, my siblings, everyone put in something, to make this work. And above all, my husband, Ellis is very supportive. He's always been supportive of me from day one. I'm proud about what I do, and I think it's vice versa, same here. So there are times when, he would go through, all my reports, look at it, and, almost like having a headmaster at home. And no, this won't cut it. Why don't you look at it this way? And that's how the relationship has been. And so when he realized that I was really keen, initially he was like, whoa, Yvette, this is a big, bold step. And I said, I just believe it in my heart. And we've prayed about it. You and I have prayed about it, and with the family and everything. And what I told God was that if it is the right thing, then let it happen. If it doesn't happen, then I know, that it wasn't the right step. And that's what happened. So that support, and the prayer support, I think helped a lot. He put in, his properties, to support the debt, as well. And today he's chairman of Dynamic Data Solutions. One of my directors said, Yvette, since you are sleeping with the chairman, you need to let us know, more of what is going on, because you assume we all know because you are sleeping with the chairman. And it was such an awesome joke, at the board meeting. But he's, Ellis is very focused, he's very deep, he's intense.
Yeah. And with so much expertise in both the financial services industry, the real estate, so he's bringing that on board, so as well as
all of that, on board. He's, open with the rest of the team, as well. They have the opportunity to discuss, anything at all, with him. So I would say that family, that family engagement, those family values, that we so, really treasure, has come to bear, in where we are today in terms of the company, and I believe that we've provided a good landing, for, our future generations, not just for our family, but for the wider Dynamic Data family and for our community. That's my prayer, that this business should, continue to stand, for as long as it must outlive us.
Yes,
honestly.
Thrive, not just for the current team, the employees, but for the community, and definitely, we're definitely rooting for that.
Thank you for that.
So empathy, as one of the strong values that you live, you imbibe in your personal life, in your work. What other kind of values or leadership behaviors are important to you, and why?
Okay, the primary one for me is integrity. And we live it. It's important, to uphold this value all the time through, anything. That's key. And then also respect for one another. If you do not respect your colleague, or you do not respect, the stakeholders, it's difficult for you to get anything done. So integrity, respect, and empathy for us are is a big deal. And also realizing that we depend on each other, so we don't work in silos.
Okay.
Everyone comes on board to get things done, and really I would say the other part for me is the female empowerment.
Okay.
And they all know it when then the staff have babies and it's a girl. Oh, I'm dancing all over the place, in the office. It's like, we have another girl in ICT, and but I think that we need to do our little bit, to bring up more women, in the corporate space, bring up more women in ICT, bring up more women who feel really empowered to do whatever they need to do, and that for me is key.
Yeah. You're mentioning, women in ICT, and people understand it to be a traditionally male-dominated area, and I guess today it still is. You'll certainly have more male to females in the industry. Is that evolving in any way, and is it difficult for women to navigate careers in this industry?
Yes, Tucci, it has evolved. I'd say some probably 20 odd years ago, one of my colleagues from the group, came to Ghana and, actually told me to my face, you're going on leave. And I said, yes. And he said, well, I think it will be good for you not to come back, after your leave. And I said, why? And he said, this is not a job for a woman, but my wife is at home, and you shouldn't be here.
And you said this was around 20 years ago?
Yes, no, you shouldn't be here. And I said, oh, really? Glad that your wife would love to be at home, but I wouldn't. And my father would turn in his grave if he realized that I was sitting home with all his investment, that he's made into my career. So I'm coming right back, and I'm coming right back to continue to be your boss. So
wow.
It's evolved. It's evolved, but it's still a very much, male-dominated space. We go for conferences, we have meetings, and even with the regulator, there are very few women in the room. And that's why I'm really passionate about that. Because, technology is really the enabler for everything. Technology is the future. So the more we have women, or the more women we have in this space, the better it is, for us as a country and, and globally, as well. So we're praying that all the efforts that we've put in, is coming to bear. There are quite a number of females now doing fantastic things, in the tech space, not only in Ghana, but in Africa, as well. And this is very heartwarming, very encouraging.
I think the more people see that,
exactly.
Especially in the workplace, it just starts to become the norm. Absolutely. And, hopefully we'll get to that point where actually you realize that you cannot do it well if you don't have that diversity of thinking, of acting. The innovation, the ideas that come are going to be different from one mind to another. So it's really exciting to see. And I think in Ghana we're seeing some great strides, a lot of leading women in ICT, both in the public and private sector. And it's beautiful. This month is International Women's Month, and there's so much to celebrate. So
absolutely.
So, I'm just laughing, thinking about the story you told me about, the gentleman who was asking if you really wanted to come back from your leave, who was advising you not to. Have you encountered other, let's say, situations which you shouldn't have because of any factor, being female, being young, being, of a certain background, anything?
Yes, absolutely. Tucci. I can tell you one interesting story, maybe two. So one of them had to do with when Dimension Data acquired Axelon initially. And I had been sending emails, speaking with the, members, of the group, in Johannesburg. But they had never met me, So eventually I had to go to the group office for some meetings, and that was actually to introduce me to the rest of the company and all of that. So the first day I get there, I'm given a space, to work from, and we hadn't had any meeting yet. So I set up my laptop, started working, and everybody kept, I realized everybody was just going past my desk. And I was wondering what was going on, and it's like they just wander and go back, wander and go back. And I'm like,
strange.
Oh, wow, am I okay?
Are you getting fired?
Because what's happening? So there was one of the young ladies, who was the one in charge of, assisting me. And all of that. So I called her and I said, listen, is there a problem? Am I sitting at the wrong place?
Are your clothes back to front?
My clothes back to front.
What's going on?
What's going on? And she says, why? And I said, because I just see people walk up and walk back, walk up and walk back. It's like they're staring at me. And then she says, you know what? Let me tell you, ma'am. They were all quite surprised. I said, surprised about what? She says, they said, we didn't realize that the managing director for the Ghana operation is a woman and she's black.
Black. With a beautiful South African accent.
I was like, oh, wow. Oh, okay, that makes me feel better. This is me. So apparently all along when I'd been emailing them and all of that, they all thought, it was a man they were dealing with, because they didn't expect that it would be a woman who is in charge. you know. Then fast forward, you know, as well, you know, quite a number of, should I call it, you know, racism, you know, instances, you know, and it got to a point where I couldn't take it anymore. So I put in my resignation.
How did those racism incidents manifest themselves?
Yes,
Was it things being said?
It will be, you know, things being said. It will be, you know, keeping you out of the loop. You know, it will be when everybody meets, everybody's at one side, you have all, you know, the segregation. And I wasn't used to that, you know, so I put in my resignation. And then the board chair at the time of the group, Mr. Andile Nkaba, he refused to accept my resignation, and he sent one of his directors, you know, to Ghana. In fact, two of them, Zandile Mbele and Elijah, to Ghana to come and speak, you know, to just meet me and tell me all about apartheid, you know. So he said, Yvette, listen, you know, you never knew what we went through, you know, so it's hard for you to understand, but this is it. And please, we do not want you to leave, you know, but they will tell you all about it. And that's how my friendship and relationship with Zandile Mbele, who is now on my board, you know, of Dynamic Data Solutions. That's how it grew, you know. So they came over, and they were in Ghana for about 3 days, you know, and just prepping me and telling me all about what they went through and apartheid and all of that, you know. And here they are stronger, you know, and all the BBE, the Black Economic Empowerment Program, and all of that. So that sort of, you know, settled me, and I was like, okay, now I know what I'm dealing with, and I know how to deal with it. You know, so I dealt with it in a very Gan manner.
How is that? Share, you know, for those who don't know the Gans that well.
Exactly, you know. So I decided, okay, now it's time for me to sit up straight, you know, and face it head on. You know, so you come at me, and I come right back, you know. And it worked. Yeah, it worked. You know,
but people don't realize some of the things that one has to go through.
You know, so I mean, these are some of the instances. You know, and
this was around the year what?
This was around 2008, you know, 2009, thereabouts.
And I mean, honestly, no one would imagine that at that period, it's not so long ago, in Ghana, in an African country, you know, one would experience things like subtle race aggression and so on.
Absolutely.
And I think it's also testament to some of the leadership you had then, the group chair, you know, sending directors to come share their own experiences. It speaks a lot, you know, to the strength of leadership, and also that there is a place of support, you know, sometimes in the workplace. So yeah, I think I'm so glad. Thank you for sharing that story, because people will be, you know, looking at the journey of other leaders, and they see the rise to the top, and they don't realize the different challenges and different things they had to face, you know.
Absolutely. Challenges, as you're speaking about, you know, just takes my mind back to when I was job hunting after school, after university, you know, and my good friend and I, Gloria, we went, you know, we had a whole pack of places we would want to work at, and it was all banks, really, you know. So, well, we set off, and unfortunately at that time also, we didn't have a lot of, or should I say, we didn't really have any sort of career guidance, you know, like we do have today, you know, in some of the schools and the universities, you know. So for us, it was just like, oh yes, being in a bank would be a great place, you know, to work. And so we set off, had our crisp, you know, ironed skirt suits, you know, dyed our hair blue, which we love to call blue jazzing, you know, and, you know, felt we were, you know, so we went for various interviews, you know.
With your blue hair?
Yes.
Was it a trend at the time?
It was a kind of a trend, you know, so it wasn't, you know, not sea blue, very dark blue, you know, but all the highlights. So we get there, and everywhere we go, it's like, no, we're sorry. After the interview, no, we're sorry. Or you need to have experience, so we're sorry. And it was getting very disheartening, And of course, eventually, none of us got those jobs at the banks. And that's when I moved to work with Celtel. And then she also got a job with an automobile company.
Okay.
Fast forward, how many years hence? Today, for one of those banks, that this didn't happen. They got acquired, and someone else acquired, and what have you. And today I'm sitting on the board of a bank. So sometimes I sit in that boardroom and I just smile and say, oh my God, you have such a sense of humor, And same as Gloria also ended up working in a bank, and then also sitting on the board of a bank.
So from being rejected, interviews for basic jobs with your blue hair to sitting on the boards.
And today, this is where we find ourselves. So, the moral of this, little story for me is just for the young people to know, that Rome was not built in a day. You need to go through. You need to go through. You need to have experience, and it's based on that experience that you get there, and if not because of the experience I've had all these years, I wouldn't be sitting on this board, and in addition to that, it's all about resilience, having your eyes on the goal, and making sure that you can, you achieve it, whatever you need to do to achieve it. If it is studying, if it is getting mentorship, do it, and get there. And it's not just Access Bank, another one that really, touches my heart also was to have been put on the council of the University of Ghana. So each time I drive up that hill, to go for council meetings, and I just think back at all the times I was trudging, with my books,
school bag,
and walking down to the law faculty, coming back up to philosophy. By the time you get to my room at Legon Hall and XB, I am just exhausted, and thinking that, oh wow. Today, we're sitting here, steering the affairs of the university. And it's, it's all about patience, it's all about trusting God, and doing your utmost best, standing out.
Yeah, so don't be knocked down, don't be defeated by rejection. You will be rejected,
You're so right.
Especially in your early days, but opportunities will come, and you shared at the beginning the opportunity you took to start as a receptionist at Celtel to where you are today, where you're leading, an internet solutions. I don't use the term as the brand, but you're you're leading a successful ICT firm after having successfully led the first management buyout of such in Ghana. So really, there's rejection, overcoming that. There's seizing opportunities, even where you didn't see them as opportunities, so don't be quick to reject something, because that might be that door that will, lead you through several other bigger doors to finally realize your dream and really put in the work and do.
I think there's one more thing I should add, is also having a very great support group. There's nothing like a bevy of women, a bevy of friends, around you at all times, cheering you on, giving you insights, into things, being there to support you, when you are down, being there to raise you up, and having that kind of support, I think really has worked for me. I have had the privilege, to have very, very, very good friends. Friends I can rely on, at any time, and I think it's important, especially where we are as women, we tend to see that it's not quite the norm, unfortunately. Women, find it difficult supporting women, and thankfully today it's getting better. But when you have that level of support, from your peers, from mentors, it helps to push you a very, very long way.
And probably, you give, or you get what you give.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Because if I see the kind of investment you've made in people in terms of your time, your ability to kind of empathize, walk in their shoes, you give them the room, you give them the patience, hopefully there'll be some that will do it back for you. And I think one thing that concerns me a lot are people who are always looking out for what they can gain, but they're not looking for what they can give.
So
because
true.
Really, you will get what you give.
So
And I will take that from your own, let's say, my experience of you, because I really do see you as someone who is constantly pouring into others. So it really never surprises me when people are ready to be there for you. Again, earlier on I was talking about, being at the launch of DDS 55, and people came from all over the world, to support you. Colleagues, friends, family, and those who couldn't be there sent the most heartwarming messages. And really, it's a testament to me of who you are, to them. So I think this is something that people should also take into account. And
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So Yvette, what is the future? What is your vision for DDS 55, for Dynamic Data Solutions, over the next 10, 15 years? We know that it's here to stay.
Yes.
What would you like to see evolving in the coming years?
My vision really is to see the company, become a leader, in the ICT space, not only in Ghana, but on the continent, to be recognized in that effect. This is something that we've already started working on, in terms of going beyond the shores, of Ghana, and making it a very much homegrown business, that would be the source of income, the source of employment, for so many Ghanaians, for the future. In addition, I'd like to see Dynamic Data Solutions become a brand, a brand of worth. A brand of worth. And on our first interaction, prior to the launch, when we were doing all our brainstorming, and we asked the question of everyone, where would you like to see the company in 10 years, what would you like to see as a headline, in the newspapers, and the one that stuck out for me was Dynamic Data Solutions listed on the New York Stock Exchange.
Yes. And as they say, we're here for it.
I know, so I said, oh wow, guys, you didn't start from the Ghana Stock Exchange, but it just shows that we all, have that vision, for growth, for excellence,
Awesome. We really are here for it. I know that, everyone, in Ghana would be excited at such a prospect that a Ghanaian company can reach there, and I have no doubt that you will. Thank you so much for coming to join me today, Yvette.
Thank you, Tucci. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.